Let's install software on a PC running Windows. Now, setup can be the trickiest part of this class. Don't give up hope. Here's the outline of what we're going to do. First, you need to understand your computer's setup. You need to pick the right version of the software, install Java, then install Eclipse, then install the documentation if this is necessary, and check the installation. We'll go through these steps one at a time. Now, this demo was done on a Windows 7 computer. If you're running a different version of Windows, it will look a little different, but the essential steps are the same. Unfortunately, Microsoft, Google, and Mozilla are making changes to browsers constantly. Daily updates can, and sometimes do, break things. So don't be too surprised if you go to bed one night with the program working and wake up the next morning without it working. These things happen in computer science. Hardware matters. Older computers can be 32-bit. Most newer computers are 64-bit. To check whether your computer is 32 or 64-bit, go to Control Panel, System. So let's discover the configuration of our system. We go to this menu and choose Control Panel. From the Control Panel, we choose System. Now this tells us that I'm running a 64-bit operating system, which tells you that the computer must also be 64 bits. So I could install in either 32-bit or 64, although I'm going to install in 64. To check whether your browser is 32 or 64-bit, you need to know that Firefox can be either 32 or 64, Chrome is 32-bit, and Internet Explorer can be 32-bit or 64-bit. The Task Manager shows 32-bit software with an asterisk 32 in the Processes tab under the Image Name column. Next, we need to check our browsers. So we need to start the browsers first. This is Firefox, and here's Internet Explorer. Now we go to the Task Manager, and what we see here in the Processes tab under the Image Name column is that Internet Explorer is running in 64-bit. Now you can tell that because there isn't a star 32 after it. Firefox, on the other hand, is running in 32-bit. So that means that if I install 64-bit Java, I won't be able to use 32-bit Firefox. Now, you can run 32-bit software on a 64-bit computer, but you can't run 64-bit software on a 32-bit computer. The software tools for this class need to match, so you need to strategically choose your configuration. Here's a good configuration for a 32-bit computer. Everything needs to be 32-bit. This includes Java, Eclipse, and your browsers. Now the good news is your browsers will be 32-bit automatically. So if you have a 32-bit computer, these are the choices you need to make. There are two possible good configurations for a 64-bit computer. One is to install Java in 32-bit, Eclipse in 32-bit, and choose a 32-bit browser, which could be Firefox, Chrome, or even Internet Explorer installed in 32-bit version if you don't have it already. Advantage of this configuration is if one browser breaks, you'll have lots of options. A second good configuration for a 64-bit computer is to install Java in 64-bit, Eclipse in 64-bit, and choose a 64-bit browser, which could be either Internet Explorer or Firefox if you don't have it already. It doesn't matter which one of these two configurations you choose. What matters is the consistency of the installation. So let's talk through the installation of Java. First, you'll go to http://java.sun.com, choose the latest edition of Java. Now this is Java Standard Edition, which is called Java SE, version 7, update 45 is what's available today. Now tomorrow it may be update 46 and the day after it may be update 47. These small differences really don't matter for this class. You need to download the version without NetBeans, read and accept the license agreement, and then download the proper version. The x86 version is 32-bit and the x64 is 64-bit. Now let's download the latest version of Java. I'm going to Firefox and then to java.sun.com. When we get here, we see over under New Downloads, is Java SE7 Update 45. That's the version we want to download, so I click there. When we get here, we have two versions available. One is regular Java and one has NetBeans. We want regular Java. On this screen, we accept the license agreement. You may want to read it first, and then we pick the correct version of the software. So this will be Windows x64 because I'm doing a 64-bit installation. So we click here. Now you need to save this file to some place where you know where it is. I recommend either your Downloads folder or better yet to your desktop. So here's the desktop. Now you're going to want to click Save. I'm going to click Cancel because I've already downloaded the software. As you can see, it's right there. Now that you have the software downloaded, you'll save the executable to the desktop and run the executable from the desktop. Install the default configuration in the default location, please. It's very important to have it in the default location because if we need to help you debug your installation, it's helpful to be able to find things and not have to search for them. Now we need both the runtime environment and the software development kit, and both of them will be installed. Now that we've downloaded the Java installation package to the desktop, we click on it to start installation. We definitely want to allow the following program to make changes. Now it's saying that the software has already been installed. That's because I've installed it previously. You probably won't see this screen. Windows is now configuring the software development kit. And now we go through the wizard. Remember, we're not making any changes here. Just click Next. And now we've successfully installed the software development kit. The next thing we need to do is to install Eclipse. So go to http://eclipse.org. Choose Download Eclipse, and I'll use Eclipse Standard. You need to choose the proper version here too, either 32-bit or 64-bit, and download it to the desktop. Next, we're going to download Eclipse. I've gone to the Firefox browser, and I'll enter eclipse.org. This takes us to the home page for Eclipse. We choose Download Eclipse right over here, the big yellow box. And here's the Eclipse standard version right at the top. Now I want the 64-bit version because I installed Java in 64 bits. You can choose whatever site you want. I usually just accept the default one. So now you're going to save the file. I recommend saving it to the desktop. As you can see, I've already saved it, so I won't save it again. But you will click Save, even though I'm clicking Cancel. The next thing you need to do is to extract Eclipse. To do this, you right-click on the compressed Eclipse folder and select Extract All. Then you browse for the proper folder. Now this will be C, Program Files x86 for 32-bit software, or C, Program Files for 64-bit software. At some point you'll have to accept administrator permissions to do this. This will create an Eclipse folder in the proper directory. The next thing you'll do is create an Eclipse shortcut. So you'll go to the Eclipse directory you created and create a shortcut by dragging the icon with the purple circle to your taskbar. Now this is optional, but it's highly recommended. We'll be using Eclipse every single day in this class. You're going to want to have it handy. Now we'll extract Eclipse. So from the desktop, we right-click and choose Extract All. Now, we need to browse for the correct directory. This will go to the computer, the C drive, and then program files for the 64-bit version, which is the one I selected, or program files x86 if you're downloading in 32-bit. Then choose Extract. Now it's going to require security permission because we're downloading to the program files directory. And here it goes. Now to finish off our installation, we're going to go to the C directory, Program Files, Eclipse, and take our Eclipse icon, this little purple circle right here, and drag it onto the taskbar. Right like that. That way we'll always have it available when we need it. The next thing we need to do is to access the Java API. Now API stands for Application Programmer's Interface, and it's the description of resources that Java has for us to use. So if you go and click on it, you'll see what the API looks like. So here's the API showing up in my browser. I'll show you how to use it during the semester. I recommend that you bookmark this so you can have easy access. Now, you also can install software for this on your computer. It isn't necessary if you have a good internet connection most of the time, but if you don't have a good internet connection, this is a step you'll definitely want to take. The next thing you want to do is to check your installation. So you'll start Eclipse from the taskbar, create a workspace in a good location. So we'll browse and create a new folder in a directory that you reserve for your college courses, or if you don't have one of those, we'll make one. You need to get rid of the welcome screen and create a project. So that's File, New, Java Project, and I'll call the project name Sample. And then you'll finish that. First we start Eclipse from the taskbar. We choose to run, although you might want to consider clicking that box so you don't get asked every time. Now we want to choose a new workspace, so we'll browse for that. The desktop is one reasonable place to put a workspace, but let's make sure we make a new folder. So this new folder will be called CS1323 Workspace, and then we'll click OK. Eclipse will now open to the welcome screen. Now this is something you won't see every time, and it's not something that's particularly useful. What we need is the workbench, and to get to it, you click the arrow right there. Inside of Eclipse we'll have many projects, so let's create our first one. We'll do File, New, Java Project, and I'll call this project Sample, and click Finish. Now, if you click here under the Package Explorer, you'll see that Eclipse has saved several things for us. The next thing you need to do is to create a class. So you'll go to File, New, Class. The name of the class should be Computer Science is Grand. Now notice there are no spaces between these words, and each word starts with a capital letter. That's called camel case, and that's how we write class names. Then you need to check the box to get public static void main string square brackets args. Those are where the instructions that the computer runs are put, so it's important that you have that method. Then I'll do some beautifying of the code. I'm going to move some curly braces around, I'm going to edit some comments, and remove a to-do line. So we go File, New, Class. Now we're going to call this class Computer Science is Grand. It's important that there are no spaces in this name and that it's in camel case. We're going to check the box here to get a main method and click Finish. Now, unfortunately, Eclipse doesn't do things just the way I like. So I'm going to make a few little adjustments here to put things just the way I want them. The reason I like it this way is lining up curly braces makes it easier to see that your code is correct. The next thing we're going to do is add some output. So we'll go to the web page for the Association of Computing Machinery and pick your favorite reason to study computer science. So here are the 10 reasons. So look for something that really resonates with you. Computing is part of everything we do. Boy, that's true. Expertise in computing enables you to solve complex and challenging problems. That's true too. Computing enables you to make a positive difference in the world. Now that's something that really resonates with me. So that's what I'm going to put in my program. Now you'll add one line of code to the main program. It will be system out print line. Computing enables you to make a positive difference in the world in double quotes. Be very careful. Watch the capitalization, the punctuation, and the spelling. It all has to be perfect. Notice that the start and end double quotes should be the same. Now PowerPoint makes them little 6s and 9s, but those are not the ones you use in programming. So you have to be careful to use the ones that are near the Enter key. Do not cut and paste from PowerPoint. Now we're going to put the body of the main method in. System out print line. Computing enables you to make a positive difference in the world. Now we're a little short of space here, so let's clear some things out. We really don't need this outline, and that gives us some more space. And if we make it full screen, we can see the whole line. Always make sure that you can see all of your lines, because if you can't see them, it's hard to tell what's on them. So now it's time to run your program. Choose Run to run your program, and you should see your chosen slogan in the console window. If it doesn't work, there's probably some small error in your program. Compare it very carefully to the example. Let's see, for example, what happens if we change system with a capital S to system with a little s. Now you'll notice Eclipse will give us a red X, and that helps us find problems, sometimes. Also, you can get help on Janux social media if you need it. Now it's time to run our program. So you can choose Run from the menu. Click OK to the box, and you'll see our slogan printed out exactly as we entered it. Computing enables you to make a positive difference in the world. Now, if you didn't see that, don't worry and don't panic. It's probably just some small typo. For example, maybe you put in a small s instead of a capital S in system. Now notice that Eclipse is trying to help you out by putting a little red X at the side. Sometimes Eclipse is right, sometimes it isn't. But if you're wondering, it's always a good idea to look. So when it says system can't be resolved, what that means is that it doesn't know what system is. That's a hint that you may have something spelled wrong or capitalized wrong or have the wrong punctuation in. Notice if we change back to a capital S, Eclipse quickly becomes happy again. Now if you need more help, get help on Janux social media. The next thing we're going to do is check the installation. So we'll go to CodingBat. Now, if you're in the for credit class, you need to share your results with me at dtrytten@ou.edu. Please don't do this if you're in the open class. I can't look at your programs and see what you've done. I can only see if they're correct or not. So it's not helpful. To check the installation, we'll go to Warm Up 1, choose Sum Double, and enter exactly this code between the curly braces. If A equals B, return 4 times A, semicolon, and return A plus B. Hit Go. If you get a green check, that means it's installed correctly. Let's check the installation of JavaBat. First off, we bring up a web browser. I brought up Firefox, and we go to codingbat.com. Choose the Sum Double problem under Warm Up 1 and enter this code between the curly braces. If A equals B, return 4 times A, return A plus B. Click Go. If you have a green check here, that means everything's working great with JavaBat. The next thing we do is to check Problets. Go to http://problets.org, choose Topics, choose Java. You'll have to accept the risk of running the application. Now this won't happen in all browsers, but it may happen in yours. If you see a web page that starts with "Please evaluate this expression," then everything's fine. Now we can check the installation of Problets. Go to Firefox again. Go to Problets.org. Choose Topics and Java. Now it says, please note the Problet will appear in a separate window. We'll need to look for that. We are going to have to accept the risk of running this application. Now let's go and look for that other window. Right there it is. When you see "Please evaluate the expression" in a page that looks like this, it means that Problets are going to work successfully on your computer. Now, if the Problets don't work, it's probably a security problem, so try another browser. Make sure, though, that it's the correct browser that matches the bits on your installation. Now, students taking the 4-credit class will need to create an account and sign in for the link for this semester's class, which is given on the course management system. Please use your full legal name, even if you don't like it, and your student number, not just your email. Remember, I don't know who sillystudent@hotmail.org is. I only know your name. Now, security issues can come up during the course of the semester. Browsers do periodically disable Java. You will have to enable Java to run at some point to get Problets and to get some of the interactive exercises in the online textbook called Chortle. Now, Turing's Craft will always work because Java is run on their server, and Eclipse will work because it's running on your system. JavaBat is also running on the system at another school, and so it will always work. So get ready to start programming.